Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, Usha. How are you? Can you
Fine,
hear me?
sir. How are you, sir? Shall we start, sir?
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Very much audible.
Okay, video is clear to you?
Video is clear, sir.
Okay. We'll start, yes.
We'll start. Thank you, sir.
A warm good morning to one and all gathered here on this wonderful occasion of the Faculty of Management Studies Endowment Lecture. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep our mind young. We at the Works Management and the Department of Management Studies know that such notion of keeping our minds young through the process of learning has gathered us everyone here. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming our speaker of the day, Mr. V.S. Kumar sir, retired IRS officer, our head of the department, Professor Dr. Kaja Sharif sir, Emeritus Professor Dr. R. Tenmoli ma'am, Assistant Professor and Program Coordinator Dr. S. Usha ma'am, our respected faculties, and the students of the Department of Management Studies. Due to unavoidable circumstances, our head of the department, Professor Dr. Kaja Sharif sir, is unable to join us today. I now request the participants to kindly join us for Tamil Thai Valthu.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் மதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டமிதில் எக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு திரை நுழலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம்பியந்து செய்ய மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
It has been the mission of the Department of Management Studies to provide leadership in management education by imparting quality and industry-relevant knowledge through research. In order to ensure such an ardent mission of delivering knowledge, the Faculty of Management Studies Endowment Lecture was an initiative put forth by Professor Dr. P.T. Srinivasan sir. Ever since then, the Faculty of Management Studies Endowment Lecture has been successfully conducted every alternate year for more than a decade. Learning needs freedom to think and freedom to imagine. Both have to be facilitated by the teacher. This quote very much suits our assistant professor, Dr. S. Usha ma'am, who entrusts her students with opportunities to outperform ourselves by inspiring our young minds through her insightful lectures. I now request our assistant professor and program coordinator, Dr. S. Usha ma'am, to deliver the welcome address.
Most respected and honorable Chief Guest, Retired Commissioner of Income Tax Tree, V.S. Kumar sir, Dr. Kaja Sharif, HOD DOMS, in absentia, faculty members of DOMS, Dr. R. Tenmari ma'am, Emeritus Professor, faculty members of other departments, and most beloved students, and to all gathered here, a warm and pleasant morning. With the blessings of the Almighty showered on us, let us start the program with a formal welcome address. Business disruption is referred to as a sudden shock to a company's operation that creates immediate damage. Examples of disruption could be like equipment malfunction or power failure, or it could be even a threat to a company's long-term viability posed by more agile competitors, increased regulation, changes in consumer taste and technologies. As future managers, students should know how to manage a disruption. So we acknowledge the valuable presence of the guest of honor, Sri V.S. Kumar sir, who despite his busy personal commitments has found time to grace this occasion. And he has also selected a very significant topic for the current scenario. Sir is a meticulous planner, and when I requested him to be the chief guest, he gave the date, topic, and other details in a single stroke, that too way back in November itself. He is an extraordinary speaker, and today he will throw light on the topic he proposed. I welcome you, sir, for this Faculty of Management Studies Endowment lecture. Hope our students will get a wonderful takeaway today. I would be failing in my duty if I don't place on record my sincere and heartfelt welcome to our beloved HOD, Dr. Kaja Sharif, for being instrumental in conducting this kind of lecture series and also for his stupendous encouragement. Welcome you, sir. Anyway, he is not there due to unavoidable circumstance. He is not able to attend the program today. I welcome my colleagues, Dr. K. Satyanarayanan sir, Dr. P.S. Manjula ma'am, Dr. Vanita Agarwal ma'am, Dr. Kanak Lakshmi ma'am, Dr. Shivakumar sir, Dr. Joseph sir for this Faculty of Management Studies Endowment lecture. I sincerely welcome the first emeritus professor of our department, our beloved former HOD, Dr. R. Tenmari ma'am, to this endowment lecture. Welcome you, ma'am. I welcome the Vox volunteers for this program. I would like to extend my warm welcome to the Master of Ceremony, Mr. Nambi Narayanan. I would also like to welcome the student volunteers, Mr. Ilamurugu, Ms. Devi, and Ms. Preeti to this endowment lecture, who has been part of this program. I would like to welcome our office staff and technical staff who were part of this program. Last but not the least, I welcome all our first and second year students to this program. I, on behalf of DOMS, welcome each and every participant of today's session. Once again, I welcome you all.
Ji, Alumni Coordinator of Vox Management, to introduce our speaker.
Good morning lecture on managing disruption. I take this opportunity to welcome today's chief guest, Mr. V.S. Kumar. Mr. V.S. Kumar is a former commissioner of income tax who recently retired from the Indian Revenue Service. He belongs to 1992 batch of the IRS. He started his career as a probationary officer with the State Bank Group. Before joining IRS, he also worked as an assistant manager with NABARD. Mr. Kumar did his undergraduation in English literature and post-graduation in public administration. He holds graduate credit with distinction from Harvard University, USA, in business analysis and corporate valuation. He also underwent professional training in corporate and international taxation at Duke University, North Carolina, USA. Mr. Kumar represented the country, New York, USA, as a member of the group's study exchange in the year 1997. He was awarded Outstanding Young Indian 1999 by the Junior Chamber of India, Madurai Zone. In 2009, he was conferred with the National Award by the Income Tax Department for outstanding work. His interests are eclectic, which includes music, reading, photography, and chess. It's an honor and privilege to have you join us today, sir. I am sure we will be enriched and gain insights from this lecture. I once again welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. Change is the end result of all true learning. In order to instill that change in us, I now request our speaker of the day, Mr. V.S. Kumar, sir, to take over the session and deliver the lecture.
Thank you, Mr. Nambi Narayanan.
You're welcome, sir.
Respected Dr. Tenmari, Professor Emeritus, who is present today, Dr. Usha, and my good friend, Assistant Professor, who was very instrumental in organizing this program for the benefit of the alumni, as well as the students of Master of Business Administration course from the University of Madras, Mr. Nambi Narayanan, who is coordinating this program, and Mr. Ilamurugu, who has been instrumental in coordinating the program on behalf of the students and was in regular touch with me communicating. Mrs. Preeti, who has given me a wonderful introduction. Thank you very much for that. The young, bright, and illuminated minds of tomorrow who are going to graduate either this year or next year with your business administration masters from the University of Madras. Dr. Kaja Sharif, who is the head of the entire department who could not be present today because of other circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a great honor and a proud privilege for me to be a part of this memorial session of lectures where I was given an opportunity to speak to you. And it was my choice that I would rather choose a subject which is agitating the minds of most business organizations today because of the rapid developments in the environment. I thought that I would present this topic in a manner that will be palatable, but also to the students in such a way that they are able to relate mostly to the modern day developments, so that we try to just recapitulate what has happened to businesses with our hindsight. Hindsight is always valuable because history repeats itself. If we understand and if we can just postulate on how things are panned out, we'll be better prepared to meet the challenges that are ahead of us tomorrow going forward. So that's the very basic format of this presentation. I now request Mr. Nambi Narayanan to please share my screen so that I can run the presentation, please. Mr. Nambi Narayanan, can you please share my screen?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Are you able to see my screen, Usha?
No, sir, not currently. Sir.
You cannot see my screen?
Yes, sir, it's not been shared.
Administrator, so that you can see my screen?
We are not able to see, sir.
How do I share? Okay, 1 minute. Let me just. Can you see my screen now? Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's
Yes,
visible.
sir, now we can see your screen, sir.
Wonderful. We'll go ahead with the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Is it clearly visible to all the participants?
Yes, sir, it's pretty much clear.
Yes, sir.
We'll just recapitulate on what you have learned about the business. Business is an enterprise which is created and is functional for the purpose of making a profit. It's an organized course of activity with a profit motive. If you don't have the profit motive, it's not a business, it's a charity. And this is the environment in which every business operates. You can just have a look at how different forces affect a business. This is a business ecology. You have the enterprise in the middle, and you have your own funds. You have the high leverage of borrowed funds in case you had to meet your fund requirements from financial institutions. You have buyers on one side, the suppliers on the other side, who will have to feed you for your throughput and output, which the buyers will buy from you. And you have competition, which is always knocking at the doors to take over the business that you have built brick by brick. You have substitutes that are coming in for your products and services, which may dominate in another day. You have new entrants into the business who are trying to wrap up things much faster than you and then try to become your competitors. Then in the external circumstances, you have the globalization, which is putting in new pressures because of different government policies. You have the government regulators in which we operate. We have the infrastructure issues where you need to ramp up your business in a particular way. And you have always the pressure to have a backward integration so that you produce in the most cost-effective way, so that the marginal cost of your goods always become profitable for you in the long run. And this is a picture of an enterprise as to how it interacts with the environment. You have the strategy at your core to run the enterprise. Then you have the processes that have been determined. You have the technology, and you have the people who run all this within the enterprise. And you not only interact with your suppliers to satisfy the needs of your customers, you also have to interact with your suppliers for the purpose of ensuring the kind of quality that you require to give that level of value not only to your customers, but also to your customers' customers. Therefore, I say that business involves a process outsourcing for value addition to meet the requirements of multiple customers. We all know, and we have been taught in business schools like this as to how to manage the expected in a business. These are the most expected things in a business, right? The things that we can always control. Having the right talent, developing the right capabilities, getting resources to the right place at the right time, growing revenues and maintaining margins, the strategic analysis with the benefit of hindsight, which I just said that we are going to do for the sake of understanding disruptions, and ultimately delighting customers, because your customers are the core of your business. They give you the business, right? These expected challenges are challenging enough. What about unexpected challenges? That is what we call as disruptive, as Dr. Usha just pointed out. We're just trying to answer this question. How can I anticipate unexpected threats that could devastate my business? If it is just a small technical glitch, if it's not, it's a small loss of data, I can manage that. I can go for a backup. But if something is happening in the environment which is absolutely out of my control, and if I leave it as it is, or I don't anticipate it and I'm not able to respond, if it is going to devastate my business, it is going to erode my capital, it is going to erode everything that I have, and it may take all the profits that I've accumulated for my shareholders forever. The unexpected. Something changes in the larger environment. It could be a change in technology, it could be the consumer or customer preferences, or it could be the supporting infrastructure of the enterprise itself, or it could be the ecosystem in which we operate. When a company or a business is preoccupied with the status quo, we are fine as the way we are selling and we are progressing and have a target of 20% over last year and moving forward. In that kind of a scenario, one normally doesn't recognize that the ground beneath them is shifting. When the ground beneath them is shifting, certain blind spots prevent us from fully recognizing the threat that is ahead of us when it's still on the horizon. Why I'm saying it's still on the horizon is that is a point when we can really control the threat and we can really respond to the threat. The same aspects of the business, the way you established it with so many shop floors to manufacture, so many outlets to sell, and so many dealerships and networks that made it successful for you, now makes response difficult for the new challenges, and they act as blind spots. Why are these developments hard to see coming? If we can understand that, we can respond better. Why are they difficult to respond to effectively? What turns a new technology or a new approach into something which is cataclysmic to the marketplace and to the existing businesses? Here, I just want to point out the power of anticipating change. How you succeed by anticipating the future. In fact, before I structured this talk, I had a chat with Mr. Ilamurugu on behalf of the Students Association and who was the students coordinator, and asked him for the syllabus of the university. And I found that your syllabus somehow, either by design or by default, did not include change management. Change management is the front edge of any business in order to keep your antennas up to see as to what's changing in the environment so that you anticipate the change, you anticipate the future and respond accordingly. Why I say this as a two-second advantage is that's a term that I borrow from a book. In a rapidly changing global business environment, with the advent of telecommunications and the internet, these things have happened. The world has become a world without borders, and geography has become history. The book was written by the CEO of TIPCO, Mr. Vivek Ranadive, who went from India to the United States, and he set up a enterprise software company, which is called TIPCO. In that book, this is the most important underlying factor that he discusses. A little bit of the right information, just a little bit beforehand, whether it's a couple of seconds, minutes, or hours, is much more valuable than all of the information in the world 6 months later. This he calls as a 2-second advantage. What this enterprise does is they are an event-driven, real-time model in retail business. What they do is primarily like they run the backend for businesses where I give you an example that if you are walking into Sunset Boulevard at Los Angeles or into the Orchard Street at Singapore, you're trying to buy a blue shirt because you want to refresh your wardrobe. You walk into the store, You just bought the blue shirt and you're given your card is swiped. And before you could put your wallet back into your pocket, the card logs you into the system, and the system knows who you are. The system knows through the software that your wife or your better half or your significant other has been searching for a perfume on the internet. And that better half or that significant other is going to have a birthday 2 weeks down the line. The system knows that. And as I said, before you put your wallet back into your pocket, you get a message on your phone which says that your better half is having a birthday week after next. And she has been searching for this channel perfume. This perfume is available at this store. And if you buy it now, we'll offer this to you at 20 or 30% discount. This is what I call as upselling and cross-selling. Today, that is the level of business activity in the market which we need to sensitize ourselves to compete with. They anticipate your needs. Anticipating future is everything. I just gave this as an example. Now, in order to overcome what we see at the horizon, the disruption that we are able to sense, we not only need to anticipate, we also need to invent the future. This is the pace at which businesses are growing today. The old days are gone. Now today, businesses are at the speed of thought, if I can quote the legendary Bill Gates. Look at this. It took us 100 years to get 1 billion landlines. Today, people rarely use landlines, but then it took 10 years only to get 1 billion cell phones. But just 1 year to get 1 billion smartphones, and disruptions are happening not only through products and processes. Today with an iPhone, with a touch screen, you drive so many apps for everything. It just runs your life. Look at IKEA, which just opened a shop 2 years back at Hyderabad. It's an international company, it's a Swedish company. They give you quality furniture at very low prices with the kind of USP that they have struck down certain channels in the process by just giving you boxed furniture. You will have to come and unbox them and assemble them yourself. Dell. We know about Dell and the famous book by Michael Dell, which was titled Direct from Dell. That is a philosophy. The philosophy is selling it directly to the customers, and they give you tailored products. For the first time, when the big IBMs and the Packards were struggling with their own products and their own configurations, Dell for the first time said that you can tailor your product on the internet and we'll deliver it at home, we'll service it at home at very low prices. The business model of Dell was very difficult for others to imitate because that became a blind spot for the giants to adjust to. Because what Dell did was they just sent your orders to their vendors who will have to operate with their own funds at their own cost and deliver it to you. Dell will pay them a year later, which means Dell saved on the cost of their working capital as well. It was a very different business model, and Dell has succeeded. And Uber, today all of them use them, right? All of us use them, right? It's an app-driven network of drivers and passengers. We have Airbnb. Today, before we just check as to which hotel offers a better deal, we always look for an Airbnb place if it's available, especially if you're young, because their tagline is, just don't go there, you live there. It's nothing but a booking engine. It has disrupted the entire line of businesses. We'll go to that. Today, the inflection point has come. At this inflection point, how I see it is this, like 5 years from now, the corporate revenues will come from things that we haven't yet invented, which means that is going to be the pace of inventing the future for all of us. And we need to rather prepare ourselves to face that kind of a future and respond to it. What I have done here is, like, I've gone through the past with the benefit of the hindsight, like you see your rearview mirror to see what's happening behind you so that you can design as to how best you can navigate forward. I could put them into 9 different ways. I owe my research to a basic research in this, done in this regard by Deloitte. And I've also borrowed some of their graphics for this. We can put them in these boxes. we're going to talk about these 9 topics. Expand the marketplace reach. This is one way businesses have gone ahead, disrupted, and killed existing businesses by expanding their marketplace reach. They did that by unlocking adjacent assets. They also did that by turning products into platforms. We'll come to that. They've also done that by connecting peers. They've done that by distributing product development, which was happening right at their shop floor. They've distributed the product development to others, and they've still succeeded. If we can call them into one group, we can call this 5 as a group which has succeeded by harnessing the network effects of networking with partnerships with their partners. And the other 4 are unbundling products and services that were originally bundled and giving you just what you want, shortening the value chain to give you better value, and aligning the price with use by giving you value for the price that you pay actually, and also by converging products, which gives you the power of more than 2 as an equation for 1 + 1. We can put these 4 into a box, which we can call as transforming value or the price equation. So we are going to analyze these 9. 2 or 3 I'm going to club for the sake of paucity of time, but you'll get an idea basically as to what we are going to talk about. First, we'll take expanding market reach. I call this the Amazon effect. Amazon is not a producer at that point of time when they entered the market. They only connected fragmented buyers and sellers. Today, they become a whenever, wherever company. The internet made it possible to banish geography, enabling anyone with an internet connection and a computer to browse a seemingly limitless universe of goods with a precision never previously known, and then buy them direct from the comfort of their homes. This was said by Steve Wezerman in the book called The Amazon Effect, from which I borrowed the title, The Amazon Effect. Amazon began as a bookstore in 1995, just 5 years after the introduction of the internet. They just started after the internet came into the picture. They were just a brick and mortar bookstore like anybody else. And Amazon amplified its market reach by using the on-demand fulfillment and leveraging of third parties to sell inventory it did not ever own. This is the most important thing, because if you want to own inventory, you need to burn your capital. And instead of doing that, it made third parties inventories connect the desirous buyers on the other side by using the power of the internet. By 2008, 30% of the books that were available on Amazon, they were not available even in the largest offline retail stores, because people were publishing books for Amazon by 2008. That is the pace of their growth. Between 2000 and 2010, this is another group of Blockbuster Entertainment in the US. They were sort of a video rental service where people were borrowing videos, movies. They had about 9,000 brick and mortar stores across the United States. They had to declare bankruptcy by 2010 when Netflix, which was also a brick and mortar store, expanded the reach of the movie rental marketplace. First with physical movie rentals, though they started, later they did that by streaming services in 2007. And today on an OTT platform, you just stream. And you don't go for the gadgets to be taken from a shop to run that, to view a movie or a video which is stored in an external storage device. You just stream. And this is the future. We are all going to stream. And right now we are streaming as we are on the Zoom call, right? So expanding market reach has happened very rapidly. What are the vulnerabilities of the existing incumbent when somebody else is trying to expand their reach? First, this pattern has historically played out through a variety of non-digital distribution channels as well. If you see, earlier there were mail order catalogs for the stuff that was being sold in the stores as well, and people used to do the orders by mail and then get it delivered at home. That's how it started. And the less homogeneous the customer base became, when they demanded more variety in the products, they had to offer very specialized offerings, customized offerings, free from the constraints of a shelf space where, supposing I walk into a store and I look for a particular quality of a shirt in a Louis Vuitton showroom, and if the guy has only a particular kind of, a particular shade of gray, and he only has 3 sizes, and if one of that doesn't fit me, I may go for an online store where I may get that size because they don't store it physically. They may source it and give it to me. Digital marketplaces can provide more of these offerings. Customers who are underserved through current channels are likely and more willing to switch to new marketplaces to satisfy their needs. Marketplaces that operate without a physical storefront can compensate by employing advances like very rapid shipping, the same day delivery or the 2-day delivery. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you get a same day delivery at most pin codes. You can do a free return. It gets picked up at your home. Detailed specifications, as I said, and customer to expert reviews that are available. You have virtual tours of the products that are, if you're going to TripAdvisor, you get a virtual tour to accommodate some need for product testing by the customers, through which what the customer is getting is he's able to test the product beforehand. Instead of going and touching and feeling, you're able to test the product even going online. These are the vulnerabilities for the existing businesses when the market is about to get disrupted by people who want to go online and sell the goods. What are the catalysts to expanding their reach? Primarily, it is enabling technology, as we said, that the digital infrastructure, providing a richer connectivity, it must be there, and it must have access to sophisticated and affordable means of production as well. Because your production line will have to match the pace of the orders. And you need a customer mind shift. This paradigm shift has already happened because of the convenience, and the pandemic has just accentuated that. We'll come to that later. From standardized to personalized products. And the platform should be a scalable platform, and learning platforms reduce barriers to entry. If you have, because you also get that learning when you operate a platform. If you go to Amazon Web Services, they'll tell you as to how you can learn their kind of coding and promote what you want to promote using their services. And public policy. Changes in regulations, they let new markets develop. And we today have the famous case going on between Amazon and Reliance, because they want to have a stake in the Future Group. It's all because they want to have a major presence. They want to expand their reach within this bubbling market called India. I just put them into different boxes for easy understanding. If you take Amazon versus Borders, which is an older brick and mortar store, the conditions that they play out are the markets with underserved customers. They get served better now. The catalysts that we have already talked, enabling technology, customer mindset shift, the platform effect, and the challenges are it's going to cannibalize core revenue streams of a brick and mortar store, and it renders significant assets obsolete. If you're having lease payments being made to 137 stores across India, it's going to make a significant difference by rendering those assets obsolete for you. And it also challenges our core assumptions about how much customers need the physical facilities to make purchases once they go online. This is the second box in which we are trying to understand the disruption. By unlocking assets from adjacent markets. This is not creating a new market. There are small markets that were already existing. They were adjacent to the new market. And this new market expands, and unlocks assets from the adjacent market to create value. Today, a business can be a major transportation for hire company without owning any vehicles. We know this. We have taken rides in Ola and Uber, or it can offer travelers accommodation worldwide without owning any hotels. We'll talk about Airbnb and OYO, the size that they have escalated themselves to. How are they using adjacent markets? Are they making traditional capital-intensive business models obsolete? They just provide access to assets of fragmented suppliers. They are not rendering those assets obsolete. As we said, supposing Amazon is disrupting a textile showroom, that asset is being rendered obsolete, but here it is not. The car is there. The driver is also there. They are not being rendered obsolete. They have just remained fragmented suppliers to the market. Now, this process, it just assimilates those assets. it makes them more affordable because the network operators have very fewer direct costs. If you operate a network like that of Airbnb or Uber, if you are the owner of Uber, your cost to operate the network is negligible to the kind of cost that the players in the market have invested in their assets. And it unlocks the underused assets. If there was a guy who owned 2 taxis and he was running it from the airport to different points every day, today, the value of those 2 assets are getting unlocked by Uber or Ola. Or if you had a hotel which was getting 30-40% occupancy, now with Airbnb and Oyo, the occupancy rate can go up to 80%, 70%. It does it by mobilizing third-party resources rather than owning assets. It's a very lean asset ownership model. It can create significant economic value for the network operator as well, because the charges are the revenues primarily of the network operator. Then he shares the revenues with the people who share their assets. It's made possible by advances in technologies such as location-aware devices, mobile payments, rich connectivity, and the cloud computing power. And today, even with artificial intelligence, you have machine learning, which creates its own algorithms. So if you ride an Uber, it is able to tell you today if there's a roadblock or if a road has been temporarily rendered one way, the algorithm is able to tell you because of machine learning. And it makes it practicable as the world becomes more connected, because internet alone is not the facilitator here. You need mobile payment devices, you need location-aware devices. We'll touch upon that as we go forward. I'll give you some key statistics to understand the enormity of this kind of a disruption. Uber delivered its 1 billionth ride 5.5 years after launch. Remember that I said that revenues are going to come from assets that we are yet to invent in 5 years' time. This is the time frame within which they are able to disrupt existing businesses. Uber covers 70% of the US population today. These are the statistics of Airbnb. And look at the revenues. Even for the asset owners who take the bookings through Airbnb, it gives $5.2 billion in commissions, $45.3 billion in gross revenues. 5.9 million of these listings received at least one booking in the last 365 days through Airbnb. That is the level of reach that they are able to handle because of technology. The power of partnerships, how it plays a role in unlocking assets. The fundamental premise is that there exists a stockpile of assets in the adjacent market. That's a fundamental premise. You must know that these assets are available, like the taxis or the hotel rooms, they are available in the market that can be applied to meet a customer's need, but the asset has not yet been commercialized for that purpose and that scale. The model creates value not only for the customers and the network operators, but also for the adjacent asset owners that I said, like nearly $2 billion are being shared as revenues with asset owners as well. To achieve the critical mass to be relevant, the network operator has to create enough value for the potentially non-commercial asset owners to participate in the network. So if an asset owner in Airbnb was only having a house, he can commercialize it by logging into Airbnb, by even sparing 2 rooms in his house where people can experience living in that particular place. It was not possible before. Airbnb does that kind of a security check beforehand. It has all the identity documents of the person who comes and stays. So you don't feel like admitting somebody into your home as a hotel room. They come and live with you as friends and they move away. Uber, Ola, Lyft, they use variable fees models. We know that the kind of surge prices that happen when there's a huge crowd waiting, and the driver requirements to enhance drivers of private vehicles to participate in their networks. Even when networks are not exclusive. This is also happening. Many drivers participate in multiple rideshare companies' networks. See, when we travel in the United States, there they don't have this particular limitation of the driver having to register his vehicle as a taxi. So somebody who dropped his wife at his office, on the way when he's returning, he can log into Uber and take a customer from that point back to his place, then go home. You will earn some dollars. The same guy can always log into Ola with the same device that he has and take an Ola ride. The revenue sharing may be slightly different. That's okay. But when he wants to go out in the evening and have a drink at a bar, when he doesn't want to drive, he becomes a customer and he may take an Ola or an Uber and travel as well. That is a level of disruption by creating this kind of value. More supply attracts a larger number of diverse consumers, which can in turn entice new suppliers to onboard their assets. So when people hear about it, when they know that they can derive more value out of their locked up assets by commercializing them and monetizing them, it adds to the critical mass of the asset base being run by the network provider. Now we'll come to 3 other topics. I'm just trying to explain them together because of the positive time that we have. We'll talk about turning products into platforms and connecting peers to derive distributed product development. I'll go with very simple examples that most of the youngsters will understand. First, in the collaborative economy, growth doesn't require us to expand production and consumption of physical goods. Instead, growth occurs when each individual peer joins a platform and contributes. So one doesn't have to look at the kind of production facilities one needs today, because somebody else is producing what someone else needs, and you can just provide a platform, connect it, and derive value. You can turn products into platforms. We'll see an example for that. Rather than focus solely on guarding information, your own IP, IPR, your own, say, patent, you want to guard it forever. Instead of doing that, creators of these product platforms, they are able to balance the need to protect intellectual property that they have with the value that can be created by allowing third-party innovators to build on the core of the product to meet a wide range of needs. When we see the example, we'll understand this. We also connect peers. Earlier, products like newspapers and pop music albums will have to go for their own promotion and they'll have to sell themselves. They were the smallest viable units of sale. They are now being disaggregated into their component parts thanks to new technologies that change the economies of production and the distribution, leveraging the evolving digital infrastructure to empower the edge, which ultimately contributes to distributed product development using collaboration and information sharing technology. Organizations today, by doing this, can mobilize a multitude of third parties to help develop products and services, potentially leaving less innovative competitors behind. If somebody is not innovative, he is left behind. Because today, I can give a product where I can onboard third-party developers and I can sell this as a bundle to the users and derive revenues without waiting to develop something on my own. Earlier, when we used to go abroad, we used to buy this Frommer's books or the Lonely Planet book to understand the maps of the place. Supposing I went to Boston for a course at Harvard University. I didn't know about Boston, so at Heathrow Airport, London, I bought a Lonely Planet book, which had the map and some guidance at that point of time. They were the only source of information at that time about travel destinations near and far. Now, TripAdvisor has just disrupted that in a few short years. And this TripAdvisor, what they have done for that? They've done nothing, but just by providing a platform and a product which is available to the users, they allowed the users to co-create content, which is the most important thing we need to remember. In the shared economy, people create content for one another. It is not the maker of the content. Maker of the content is you, the consumer of the content is you. You create value where the platform guy makes a lot of money as well and he shares the revenues as well. In TripAdvisor, if you go, the travelers post their own pictures, they share their experiences, and TripAdvisor allows the new traveler to contact you through an email. I have advised travelers on TripAdvisor about a place which I visited. That's a new value which has been opened up. It's also done by mobilizing the crowd rather than relying on a dedicated group of experts. If from us or Lonely Planet had to publish a book, they needed experts who had to be employed. Today, the earlier consumer is the expert who is guiding the new consumer who is going to Paris to stay in a hotel which may be closer to the Disneyland Paris. So he wants to know how best he can operate, which is closer to the metro station. He can just go to TripAdvisor and he can see a review that somebody might have posted. You can contact him on an email and he gets it done. TripAdvisor makes money either way. We don't own our data. This is the most important thing that we have to understand, because in the present days, you'll have a lot of conversations about data privacy, right? Whether WhatsApp is going to snoop into my data. We just don't own our data anymore. We just visit it from time to time. Somebody else is holding our data for us. Now, this is the example I give for connecting peers and distributing product development, turning products into platforms. Just look at this particular graph as well and the diagram. Google was just a search engine. In 2005, when I was at Harvard, when we were trying to do a project work on Google as well as on Accenture, we could not understand the value that the market was giving for one share of Google at $350 at the time, because Google was perceived as a search engine. They had Gmail, of course. But they took rapid baby steps as they moved forward, and they created products and services that run the globe today. Google Android is such a product, which is nothing but an operating system, an OS, which is sitting in the middle. You can just see that green thing. That is the OS, which is the core of this particular network, right? If Android is a product, see, we say that we are the best in software in the software industry in the world, but still we are all service companies. Infosys is a service company. Infosys hasn't brought out a product except for Finacle for the banking sector, which is not consumed by you and I. They have not brought a product into the market to sell like Google has done through Android, or Microsoft has done through Windows. We have still not produced a product. Android was a software product of Google, which is just an operating system on which so many hardwares were made to run. So all your Android phones borrow that operating system from Android. And Android has allowed app developers to develop the applications that run your life through your system. And by connecting these peers and providing this platform, they have distributed their product development as well, because it's an open source product. People can edit Android to the extent that Google permits them, right? Now look at the graph. The hardware onboarding the OS is so high, the blue line is so high, there are very many people. And the apps that are working on an Android device are also many. But look at the size of the OS. It doesn't grow, it is just there, but you are deriving all the benefits by providing this platform for letting the peers connect themselves and distributing your product development. Let's have a look at the key statistics. 71.9%, almost 72% of the Android mobile operating devices are running the system during January 2021. They are the market leaders. The market share of Android. See, iOS is a bundled software. It comes only with iPhone. But Android, every other phone, tomorrow you like an Oppo or say some other phone maker, you create a brand, you can as well go for Android and run your system. You don't have to develop your own operating system. In the early years of mobile phones, this was a mistake that they have done. Symbian was originally developed by Xeon Software, and it was a JV between Nokia. In those days, Nokia was the only phone, and Ericsson came in, Motorola came in. They were also borrowing the software from Symbian, but they could not develop it. But once the smartphones came in, though iOS remained proprietary, Android disrupted and killed Symbian. Symbian couldn't wake up after that. Today, Nokia has still their own Symbian, and they are going for a Windows platform with Microsoft, but they have not come into on Android, and they have not participated in the kind of disruption that Android could give a particular brand like, say, Samsung. The Chinese 3G market for smartphones, Android's market share jumped from 2.9% to 89.5% in just 3 years. That is the time span. That is why we are bothered about the pace of disruption. And the best-selling standalone mobile phone of all times sold only 250 million units. In contrast, this is being developed by Google. It's called Era. This is going to be an upcoming modular mobile phone. In between, there was a talk that they let Era die, but Era is not getting killed. It's still alive. They're going to develop that. It is targeted at 5 billion mobile internet users. It's like a mobile phone which can be taken out of an iPad. And there are different devices that can be taken out of an iPad, which is like a modular mobile phone. And you can take out your Fitbit out of an iPad and wear it at the point of, and then again put it into your iPad, it will work the same way that it works. They're developing a product like that. You can just Google it and see, Era of Google. That's the level of scale that we are talking about here. There are 4 types of platforms that we can easily understand it, because as I said that in hindsight, we are doing this research. So we can put them into 4 different types for the basics and basic understanding, and then see how they interact with each other. A product platform is a special type of platform. A base layer, which is virtual or physical, the third parties can enhance by developing new features and by adding or modifying functionality to create new products, either for business to business or for business to consumer markets. I'm just giving this diagram. There are aggregation platforms under which you can bring out the taxi aggregators or the OYO room aggregators. There are social platforms that just co-create value, co-create content like your Facebook or your WhatsApp. And mobilization platforms, they move people to act together like Airbnb. You have learning platforms like AWS, Amazon Web Services. If you look at it, it was developed to run their own business. Amazon developed Amazon Web Services to run their own business. Then they scale it up to make it possible without losing their proprietary software by opening up some of the source code for people to develop their own apps that can be run on AWS, for which they are potentially and in real terms unopening so much of value. We'll just touch upon that as we go forward. Now we come to the other topic, that is unbundling of products and services. How this can disrupt and create value. This happens by just giving you what you want and nothing more. In the early 2000s, carriers provided voice and SMS as a part of your plan. I still remember that Airtel will give you SMS service also. In 2009, over-the-top providers, they started that first on the Wi-Fi platform, because Wi-Fi came in, and they used voice over internet protocol, and Skype became a reality. And then WhatsApp came through mobile internet messaging. They just took the SMS part out of a service provider and gave it at a much lower price, by allowing the users to bypass the more expensive carrier options provided in the wireless service bundle. Because those days, on a festival day, SMS will cost you more than regular days. And people used to send those greeting messages one day earlier. Today with WhatsApp, it costs you nothing, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't cost anyone anything. There's nothing, there are no free lunches. They just take data, information that are sold to somebody else, they realize the revenue, because there is a cost to run that particular product as well. It has changed customer mindsets. It has shifted from accepting too much to expecting just what I want. So how many people are now paying and sending SMS messages when they can do that on a WhatsApp platform or on a WeChat platform? It has just made what I'll say is a psyop that we call in intelligence. Like it's a psychological operation where your mindset can be bent. A want can be created and met by making it a need for you. That's what they have done. They become less willing to pay today for a bundle in which they use the components unevenly. So you may make a voice call from your smartphone, but you don't make as many SMSs today. These are the key statistics to have a look. WhatsApp was launched in the year 2003, May, and it's owned by Facebook in February 2014. It remains a market leader in a segment. Since its humble beginning, it has added new features. Today you have voice calling, video calling, group calls, and today you have WhatsApp business as well. It also has moved into the payment markets today. India and Brazil, you have WhatsApp payments that have come in slowly, baby steps, but rapidly. And today, this is the kind of stats that they are sitting on. The monthly active users in October 2020, that is the latest statistics available on the net, of WhatsApp is 2 billion. Look at where WeChat is, which is an exclusive Chinese product, though China has the highest population. It's only 1.2 billion. Telegram is about 400 million. And this is the way they're able to scale up. This is the next topic out of the 9 that I said, that unbundling products and services. Given a choice, the customers gravitate towards purchasing only those offerings they prefer and they use frequently. Those offerings that they use frequently, rather than the products that come loaded with a variety of unwanted capabilities. Some of the products that have been bundled together today, you can disrupt the market by unbundling them. Customers with specific diverse needs may not be satisfied with bundled offers. Products that require bundling to achieve distribution or manufacturing scale today are at risk of disruption from new entrants that capitalize on technology advances to reduce the costs, eliminating the need for the original converged product. We'll talk about the shortened value chain. If you have some question on the earlier unbundling of products, when we discuss converging of products, I'll explain that also. The primary thing that I explained unbundling of products was with how WhatsApp was able to unbundle messaging services from the network provider and give you a product which just makes your life functional. By shortening the value chain, what we understand is the change in economics of the value delivery can challenge the viability of incumbents with a long, complex value chain. Value chains are very long and complex. We'll just have a look at how the value chains are built. But now new technologies are allowing marketplace entrants to eliminate those stages. Some stages are getting eliminated. The value chain itself, often dramatically reducing the capital and infrastructure cost, giving them more profits. A typical value chain looks something like this. You have a design prototyping unit, which is designing the product. You have sourcing and procurement. You have manufacturing and assembly. You have inventory management, distribution. You have to have your store operations and the sales front. And you have to fulfill the customer's needs by delivering it to the customer. And the customer use and support. After you sell the product, you will have to go and service them. But this has been disrupted. Let's see how. First, it happened with Kodak, 1970s, when digital cameras permanently changed the consumer photography market when they were widely adapted in the early 2000s. Way back in 1997 or 98, I bought a Nikon camera, an SLR camera, which was a wonderful camera because of my interest in photography. And I used it very well. But suddenly what happened was, like, the film was not available in the market and the labs wouldn't process it. Digital cameras eliminated film from the photography value chain and drastically reduced both the time and the steps required for consumers to capture, store, view, and share images. This is just the beginning of the disruption. Today, it has gone somewhere else. You can view things in real time. People share videos and Instagrams. The impact of digital on the consumer photography value chain. We'll have a look at this. This is how it happened. Now, look at the blue arrows. Those were the areas that got impacted. Design is still there. You have to design a digital camera. You have to have the inventory of the camera and all that. But sourcing and procurement, manufacturing and assembly of your film, that is not required. Customer use and support is not required because once a photograph is taken, it is shared. You don't print them, and you don't have to go to the store to take multiple copies. Dell did this in 1995. At that time, they held the 6th highest market share, much below all these people. Compaq, Packard Bell. At that time, it was not even Hewlett Packard. It was Packard Bell and IBM. They were market leaders, and Dell was trailing behind. And their direct sale model, it increased customization, affordability, and convenience for the enterprise customers by offering a one-stop shop where it could build machines to customer specifications. Additionally, by implementing a direct sale model, Dell was also able to knock down those channel costs. This is what Dell has done. Those blue arrows are the points where it simply impacted them. Inventory management was not necessary because inventory will be managed by the vendor. And you directly ship it to the customer. Dell would have directly taken from the order. I even said that the reality is the vendor will put his money to manufacture the product and give it to you, and Dell will pay him a year later. Store operators, the sales vendors, they were not required for Dell. Customer use and support, Dell has third-party people who will come to your home and service a Dell computer. I'm running it from a Dell computer right now, and Dell gives me on-site warranty and on-site service. This is the next topic, converging products. This is why I said that we have to differentiate between unbundling and converging. Unbundling is not converging. Converging is there are existing different products. You're just converging them together to create more value than what it is. 1 + 1 is more than 2. So the kind of synergies that you create. Bundling functions from formerly distinct products into a single offering that gives a more economical and convenient way to access those functions, which can disrupt those making and selling specific products. This is one example. We all had these Map My India devices, which were selling earlier, but nobody goes and buys them today. Smartphones have become the new GPS systems. What they have done is they have converged. There were two products. There was a mobile phone, there was a camera, there was a GPS system, all got converged into something else. And today, it is not bundled, it is just converged. A host of capabilities, including navigation, have been converged into the device. Today, it is driven not only by your location, by locating you on the GPS system, but also it gives you the real-time directions. As I said, that if there is a roadblock, it will tell you. And it guides the driver from point A to B by the most efficient routes possible. Medical devices. Treatment of chronic conditions today, you don't have to go to the hospital. Your telemedicine is available today. And mobile health convergence is there. Patients, they use push-to-talk devices in telemonitoring situations. There's something called twins. If you go into the internet and search for it, twins, diabetes, you just search. They put devices on people's arms, which will monitor their blood sugar spike on a real-time basis, keep telling the server, which learns their food habits also, tells them to adjust the food habits. So they're able to reverse diabetes by using these devices through a server sitting somewhere in California. But these devices are being sold in India. That is a kind of converging products. That is a tagline of this digital twin for diabetes. As more and more diagnosis tools can be powered by remote access via smartphones and other mobile technology, the need for once distinct medical devices, having a prick in your finger to know your blood sugar, or to have your pulse tested, or to have your heart rhythm tested, or to have your BP tested, all that are going away, getting converged into certain remotely connected products. That becomes a major disruptor into the medical devices market. This is the next one, aligning price with the use. Reducing upfront barriers with usage-based pricing. I think I've just exceeded my time. Is that okay, Usha? Slightly?
No issue, sir.
With the permission of the chair, few more minutes. Reducing upfront barriers with usage-based pricing. Access to scalable, high-quality resources without large capital investment. It allows numerous smaller vendors to form competitive businesses that are changing the dynamics of a range of industries. Now look at the size. ESA is the European Space Agency. They have the Gaia project. The Gaia project is an ambitious mission which shot a three-dimensional map of the Milky Way galaxy in which we live. It's designed to make the largest, most precise 3D map of the galaxy. The project requires processing satellite observations of more than 1 billion stars. The estimated cost was about $1.5 million, but the agency will pay less than half of that by hiring Amazon Web Services, which is also running the backbone of your Amazon delivery. The 1 billion star data can be captured, analyzed, and mapped at half the cost by using an existing technology. What they have done is they have aligned the price of that particular service with its actual usage. SpaceX, we all know about this. It was just a company which was going bankrupt way back in 2008. If you look at this particular statement that I've given, you can search that also. NASA is a taxpayer-funded entity in the United States. It's the government. NASA is a government agency. They partner with SpaceX because they see the value price advantage to successfully launch their astronauts. Recently, they launched their astronauts into International Space Station ISS inside the Crew Dragon capsule. SpaceX, which was on the verge of bankruptcy in 2008, today generates revenue from a variety of customers, but significant funding comes from flying the crew and the cargo to the ISS, which is going to be a repeat thing because ISS is there for so many years now and is going to be there into the future as well. There's a new revenue stream which has been disrupted by SpaceX, but nobody else is there in competition today. So we have touched upon these 9 patterns just for recapitulating and understanding their significance and just bringing this about, although they are not universal. You can just identify a pattern when you see a disruption. That's the purpose of this talk. And you can respond appropriately. They are enabled by broad long-term trends. We can roughly categorize 9 patterns as being disruptive by changing the price value equation for customers or by providing customers more and more relevant choices. Patterns that create and benefit from the network effects tend to change the competitive dynamics of the industry. You would have learned about competition, especially the book of Michael Porter on competitive strategy, which is an essential for any business administration student. It changes the landscape of competitive dynamics. It also makes things easier. It makes it easier to commercialize existing things. Most markets will be vulnerable at least at one pattern. If we can recognize the pattern, we can respond appropriately. Most markets will be vulnerable to at least one pattern that we have discussed. Which patterns a market is vulnerable to depend on the characteristics of the products or the services, the nature of the customer base, the structure of the industry, and the competitive dynamics. I just made a graph as to how this can be grouped. The higher the response is, you see the degree to which the patterns reduce barriers to, it's higher when you're unbundling products and services, shortening the value chain, or converging the products, align price with use. Where the degree to which the patterns reduce barriers to is lower when you unlock adjacent assets, expand market reach. And we also put them into different boxes, transforming value price equation and harnessing network effects. Just to recapitulate, we can, whatever has happened so far, we can identify them into these 9 categories and we'll be able to foresee them. And we'll just touch upon the disruption of a century. What you see is a black swan. Black swan is a terminology that I'm borrowing from the famous book of Nicholas Taleb, who wrote the earlier book, The Theory of Randomness. Whether the pandemic, which made the year going literally viral, was a black swan, not expected at all, or it was there on the horizon. The debate is still going on because people say that the legendary Bill Gates was able to see this in 2005. He said that the next pandemic is going to shut down the world. But it happened. What it did, it moved freely along the pathways of trade and international capital. It locked humans down in their countries, their cities, and their homes. It marked immigration controls, biometrics, digital surveillance, and every other kind of data analytics. It struck the hardest in the richest, most powerful countries of the world, bringing the engine of capitalism to a juddering halt. We couldn't decide on whether to help fix it or to look for a better engine. We still couldn't figure out. With increasing demand for stimulus funds, even the governments are grappling, they are struggling with the ethical dilemma whether philanthropy of giving them stimulus checks in the US could be a better substitute to a fair tax system by taxing people and taking their money, because the entire economy remains disrupted as of date. And what kind of priorities this kind of disruptions let emerge before us, and what are the ethical questions? Automakers today, this is happening as we are talking. This is happening. If you listen to the news stories, you'll understand this. Toyota, Honda, Subaru, GM, they all have a shortage of semiconductor microchips. What happened to the semiconductors that were being prepared? They got diverted to create those information communication gadgets that became more useful during the pandemic for us to talk like this on Zoom. So the chip manufacturing giants like TSMC and Samsung are struggling to cope. Those chips that should have gone into the automakers for manufacturing automotive vehicles are moved elsewhere to manufacture these devices for communication and for remote work during the pandemic. It's a shifting priority during the emerging scenario. Look at this. Social distancing could have given an opportunity for self-driving cars, because I stopped my driver. I asked him to come only to clean the car and go. Then I was driving it, but it could not emerge because of an ethical question. This is the ethical question. How do you program the algorithm? While driving around a cliff, if a cyclist crosses the road, should the car's algorithm decide to hit the cyclist and kill him and save the owner of the car who paid the price for the car, or save the cyclist and drive the car into the gorge, killing the owner? No car maker is able to decide on the answer to this ethical question. They are not able to bring in a proper algorithm, because some questions can never be answered, because a machine is a machine. It's not a human being. I just point this out because the next level of disruption will happen because of so many interacting factors. This disruption has thrown this kind of new priorities and new ethics. It's just a way to focus and to understand as we move forward. What is the key? Innovation is the key. This is a famous quote that I often quote, because it was a part of the Emirates campaign that challenged the viewers in 2004. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Keep asking this every morning. You will find new answers, because life is all about this. We make a new beginning every morning and we move forward with faith. And learners inherit the earth. There's a quote from Eric Hoffer. He says, in times of change like this, in times of disruption or change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned, the PhDs who have done their theories and are sitting on that, will find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. The ground has shifted under our feet. It's still shifting. So we need to be agile. We need to be responsive to move forward. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a wonderful session. I had an amazing audience. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope that it's going to be useful to you. This is my email. Should you have any doubts or clarifications, I shall be very glad to respond to you on this. With the chat, if you have the time, we can even open it for a Q&A if you have anything to say. Thank you very much. And before I close, my specific and special thanks to Dr. Khaja Sharif for having organized this program, and for Dr. Usha for having reached out to me persistently to make this happen. Because there were points of time when the date I gave fell on a holiday later and we couldn't do it, but still she was so persistent, and it was her kindness and the way she asked me, I could not say no to her. And it's a wonderful occasion where I could share my thoughts with you. And Preeti, the alumni coordinator, for having given me an introduction, which I don't know whether I truly deserve that much of thing, but that's the basic thing about me. And Mr. Ilamurgu for having coordinated the whole thing after the date was finalized, and Mr. Nambi Narayan for having made the technological process possible for the benefit of all of us and the students as well. I thank the students for your patience as well. You've been a wonderful audience, and it's been a pleasure talking to all of you. And I also thank the special presence today of I thank Dr. Tainmuri, Professor Emeritus, for a special presence today, because they're all experts. So we have a lot to learn from them as well. And I'm a perpetual learner. I learn with every day that passes. I try not to sleep before I learn something new every day, every single day. So that way, I am also a participant. I'm also learning through this process. Thank you for having given me this wonderful opportunity. And with the permission of the chair, if you still have the time, you can decide the time and we can answer such questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. for such a wonderful lecture. It was very informative on the business ecology concept, on how a business interacts with its environment, and on how responding to change or disruption is essential for a successful business journey. The master key of knowledge is indeed persistent and frequent questioning. Given that, I request the participants to unmute and ask the questions that may arise.
You can stop sharing my screen now,
Yes, sir.
so that I can see the.
Sir, excellent presentation. So I'm Dr. Arthen Muri.
Thank you, Dr.
Excellent presentation, sir. You have chosen the good topic, disruptive, managing disruptives. As you said, sir, change is inevitable. I think when you want to grow, you have to change.
You're right.
Okay, I think we have the teachers. We have changed from classroom teaching to online teaching. That is also considered a disruptive technology. Okay, I think we missed the feel and touch. I think the face is the index for the teacher, whether they understand my lecture or not. But in online, we are not seeing that. Okay, but no, as you said, whenever we go with the technology, we go with the situation. So a lot of factors associated with that. Okay, I think your examples are very good, sir. I think our students will get benefit from out of your lecture and presentation. I think having experience, tax, income tax, and you touch that management. That is very excellent, sir. I think. Thank you. In spite of your busy schedule, you accepted our invitation and delivered a good lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Usha.
In case there are no other questions.
Thanks, sir. It was a very wonderful presentation. Like you covered all the latest developments which has happened in the business scenario today. We are very fortunate to have you today, sir. Hope our students would have got a very good takeaway from you. Actually, we don't have any clarifications because you've covered a wide range, all the aspects of business. So I have to thank you for coming over here and giving a very wonderful speech. Whatever you said, you gave it in the very simplest form, and I think our students would have enjoyed the session. Any other questions can be asked? Thank you, sir, for coming over here and giving a very wonderful speech.
It's been a pleasure, as always, and looking forward to meet you in real time, because we just got vaccinated, and I advise everyone to get vaccinated when the turn comes. So we should all go back to the real normal, not away from the new normal. In real world, we'll try to meet again. And I wish you all the best. And I also appreciate you for having taken so much of efforts to conduct such a wonderful program. And you have a series of lectures going on. So it'll definitely benefit the students in an immeasurable way, especially when they are not able to meet the teachers in person and learn from the regular classes. God bless all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Gratitude helps us to grow and expand. Gratitude brings joy and laughter into our life and into the lives of all those around us. I now request Ms. Sridevi, Treasurer of Works Management, to propose the vote of thanks.
Gratitude is the healthiest of all human emotions. Respected Head of the Department, Dr. Kaja Sharif Sir, Mr. V.S. Kumar Sir, IRS retired, Emeritus Professor Dr. R. Tenmuri Ma'am, Assistant Professor and Program Coordinator Dr. S. Usha Ma'am, respected faculties of the Department of Management Studies, and all our dearest participants of the Endowment Lecture, a very warm good afternoon. It's my pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this wonderful Endowment Lecture. I thank Mr. V.S. Kumar, IRS retired, for the brilliant lecture on the topic Managing Disruption. Thank you, sir, for such an enlightening lecture. The topic which you picked is the need of the heart, and the concept of 9 ways that disruptors create a new value was very thought-provoking. The live examples like iPhone, IKEA, Dell, Airbnb, Oyo, Ola, Amazon, Netflix was very informative. Thank you again, sir. I thank the Head of the Department, Dr. Kaja Sharif Sir, in absentia for rendering full support to conduct this endowment lecture. I thank Assistant Professor Dr. S. Usha Ma'am for wonderfully coordinating the lecture and making it a grand success. I thank Mr. Ilamurugu, General Secretary of Works Management, for ensuring the smooth conduct of lecture, and Mr. Nambi Narayanan, PRO of Works Management, for mastering the ceremony brilliantly, and Ms. Preeti Balaji, Alumni Coordinator of Works, for the wonderful introduction of our speaker of the day, Mr. V.S. Kumar. I also thank all the faculties for their grateful presence and making the event a memorable one. I extend my thanks to all the participants who logged in today. I am sure that this lecture has benefited you in leaps and bounds. Hope we meet again for such a wonderful events in the future. Thank you one and all. Have a great day.
Thank you, Sridevi. I request all the participants to rise up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you all. Have a good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I log off. Okay, we'll communicate. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, sir. Thanks for a wonderful speech.
Giving the feedback of the students, I would like to know whether it was beneficial to them, whether it's in some form.
Definitely, sir. It would have been very much beneficial for them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.